Hi and welcome, teachers and administrators. This is a short-ish video on how to do a course that is geared toward everyone, which means reading and writing disabilities, concentration difficulties, any type of mental instabilities, motor functions, hearing, seeing, and so on. The reason behind this is that I've been a language educator at a university. Within my frame of work, I kind of realized that there are hidden aspects of, for instance, and most prevalently, reading and writing difficulties within universities. The fun part about that is that there is not much being done, which leaves the sky wide open to start doing something. So this is a short introduction to you who might be able to influence this type of work within your department. My name is Johanna Björkel. I'm a Master of Arts and a researcher within education. First of all, when you plan a course for someone that is suffering from these type of things, you should realize that there is a lot of stigma involved in it. In Finland, there is around 10% of people suffering from reading and writing difficulties of various degrees. Of these, 4% are dyslexics, which means sort of a higher degree of reading and writing difficulties. These, however, of these, about 4% move on to higher education. But we will not usually be seeing, voluntarily at least, too many certificates of their difficulties, because they usually don't want to stick out anymore. For some, it's been it's a stigma. For others, the university or University of Science, of Applied Science, is too intimidating in itself to be able to sort of add this aspect to it. Which means that people won't tell you that they're suffering from something. You'll probably find out at some point, or you'll see it during testing at the end of the course. What I did, because I was fortunate enough only to have 1 to 2 courses per term, I was doing other things simultaneously, was that I was able to, through action research, look at how could you help all these types of students without them feeling, pointed out, in a sense. So what I did was that, actually, I think I'll explain it more in terms of what does that kind of course then actually look like. The course that I slowly built has been tested on 8 different groups. And what else before we start? I'll just tell you what you need to, or what you could do in order to facilitate for these types of students. First of all, you need to plan the entire course ahead of time. That means that you need to have all the material laid out. You need to have things, if you're using some kind of an LMS, like a learning platform, such as Moodle for instance, you need to have put all your materials there in advance. If you work with some type of folder system that the students then take copies from, then you need to have that done in advance. What I did was that I had what I call the course Bible, which meant that for each session I had clearly stated what we were going to do, what topics we were going to cover, and the materials that were associated with this, and what the homework was to each session. First of all, you need to realize that by pointing these people out and making them special in any way or form, they'll feel very uncomfortable And that is actually what they're trying to avoid. So planning the materials, having the materials ready at hand, also planning in what form you're going to test various things, and realize that if you're going to cater for all types of students, regardless of their inclination or individual ways of learning, then you need to have thought about, am I varying my teaching enough? What I did was that I start out the course with what I call the motivational speech. The motivational speech is a speech about what are you supposed to do if you have some kind of a thing that is affecting your learning in my course. So the motivational speech goes something like this. Hi, and welcome to this course. We're first going to start to talk a little bit about if you have something that's hindering you in your learning and what you can do about it. A large problem within teaching, and especially higher education, is that people usually don't want to tell you what is troubling them. And it will make it really difficult for me as a teacher to be able to do something about that. So what I've done is that I've catered for you, all of you, by trying to take a few measures within this course. But first of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what happens in teaching if you have some kind of a problem. Most people have so-called coping strategies. These coping strategies can be anything from you read your homework 2 weeks in advance, you start writing your essay months in advance, you have various social coping strategies as well. One of those might be that you try to hide whatever it is that's troubling you. This course will contain group work of various sorts, and what tends to happen when we have students in a group that try to hide that there's something wrong is that they either turn inwards, which means that you might not want to participate in the group work, you might opt out, you might be sick a lot, or you might be a little bit defensive and not really want to participate in the sense that other students are doing. These are just a few of them, but you get my point. These coping strategies can be somewhat successful, but let me tell you that they're not really successful in the long run. What usually students are trying to achieve is that they shouldn't be singled out, that people shouldn't notice that they have some kind of an issue, and that they wouldn't like to be treated differently. When you try to hide these types of things from your fellow students, they'll notice that something's off. Usually they'll get mad at you for not participating that much, or for not participating well enough in their terms. Problematic. Kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. What you set out to not do, you're actually achieving through working really hard at trying not to do. So, I was wondering, and I'll just let you know as a teacher what I'm going to do. I'm going to hand you an initial questionnaire. It asks anything about, what your expectations for this course is, what your background knowledge is, what you want me to pay special attention to, etc. But I also have a very long question. The text is about that long. And it says something to the effect of, if you have anything that is hindering you from learning, and that could be anything from reading and writing difficulties, ADHD, ADD, Asperger's, mental difficulties, depression, problems at home, recurring headaches, migraines, hernias, bad back, things that can't make you sort of sit down for a long time, fatigue, nausea, whatever it may be, and it's not limited to what you think it is, but I mean it's things that bother you, that hinder your learning. then please fill that out. I won't share that with anyone. And do note that I've planned this course in advance to cater for any type of difficulty, which means that, you know, it doesn't really matter what you write, because I won't treat you any differently because of it. Not before and not after, because everyone will get the same special treatment. That special treatment might just, that everyone gets, might just be a little different just because you're there. So, please let me know. The second part of this is that I'll now give you the chance to be brave. Because if you want to, and surely, just if you want to, not because I'm telling you to, but because you want to, you could let the group know as a whole that, that you have something that affects you. You perhaps don't even have to say what it is. You could just say that I have this type of disease, and that affects me in my learning, and you know, perhaps something of how it affects your learning, not so much about the disease, because that's not, or problem, because that's not important. What it does is give you more freedom to be you in this course. It gives you more freedom to learn. It gives you more freedom to be happy and not feel burdened by coming here. It also gives your fellow students a chance to be better fellow human beings, because they'll know, which means that, you know, it won't be that big of an issue. And the bigger of an issue you've made it within yourself, the harder it will be to, you know, talk about this. But, you know, if you feel the courage and the inclination to, just at this point, you know, I'll soon ask you to raise your hand if you want to sort of address the group and me. If you don't, you know, please write it in the questionnaire that you'll be given shortly after that. And, you know, we'll have fun here. It won't be that difficult. And you'll learn something in the process. Trust me. So, at this point, who would be interested to raise their hand? For you as teachers now and administrators, what happened in real life when I did that was that the first year no one raised their hands. Only one person wrote down what it was that they suffered from, which was at that point reading and writing difficulties. Following a course that I held, we had two or three people writing in the initial questionnaire, and one person raising their hand and telling the group. Following group, major increases. We had 5 people telling the group what was bothering them, and an additional 5 people out of 26, I think, telling us what was going on, or telling me what was going on through the questionnaire.